Hello, you silly goons and goobers. I'm back with another weekly update. Sorry that this one is coming late. I was a bit sick for a few days. Okay, a bit is probably a bit of an understatement. I was very sick for a few days, so I didn't really have energy to be recording videos. I was posting old stuff that I had recorded, so now I'm back though, and I'll be posting regularly as I have been. I actually have quite a bit that I want to talk about this week, so let's jump right into it. First of all, if you saw my video that I posted just a few days ago, you know that I finished The Sword of Kaigen, and I absolutely loved it. I did not expect that book to become one of my favorite books of all time, but here we are. We live in that timeline, and I could not be happier. The Sword of Kaigen blew away every single expectation that I had for it, and I am so excited now to read M.L. Wong's other standalone book, Blood Over Brighthaven. I've heard very, very good things. My favorite reviewer, Patrick Leo, gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and he said it was incredible, so I'm excited. M.L. Wong has earned my trust, and it has amazing reviews, so I know it's going to be a banger, and I probably am going to read that sooner rather than later because I just loved The Sword of Kaigen that much. I won't speak too much on that though because I did make an entire video dedicated to that book. Just know, if you haven't watched that video, I fucking loved it. It was incredible. After I finished The Sword of Kaigen, I stayed true to my word and I started Throne of Glass. I actually finished it just last night. And it was... It was okay. It was like fine at times. At times it was not great. There were a couple of times that I was very much struggling to get through the book. You can tell that it was written by a teenager. In my Goodreads review that I wrote last night, I decided not to give it a star rating because I feel weird rating a book written by a teenager for a different demographic than I am a part of. I also wrote a book when I was a teenager, and this was infinitely better than what I wrote, so I don't feel like I should be passing judgment on it. There was a lot of just like characters being extremely stupid or the main character being a little bit too perfect. I don't want to say she was a Mary Sue, but she was very close to being one. She just was like perfect at every single thing that she tried, and she's a cold-blooded assassin, but she's also like the nicest person ever, and also she's extremely beautiful. Everywhere she goes, everyone falls in love with her, and I'm not criticizing. I'm not doing that. I'm abstaining from criticisms. It just... yeah, that is all stuff that was in the book. But there was actually some pretty good stuff in there too. I was really invested in the like overarching story that seems to be setting up in this book. There wasn't a lot of exploration into that, and I wish that there had been because that was actually what got me hooked in. Every single time that what I assume is going to be the overarching story came back into play, I actually kind of had trouble putting the book down, which was sad to me because it felt like I was way more interested in that than Sarah J. Maas was. She was a lot more interested in like characters talking to each other about their personal lives, and that's fine. I wasn't really that hot on any of the characters, so it didn't really work super well for me at times. I didn't really buy into the romance all that much. There's like sort of a love triangle in this book, sort of, kind of. There was 2 characters that like kind of had romantic tension, but not really, and I wish that there hadn't been any because I actually liked them as friends, but there was this like undercurrent of them liking each other, and I don't know, I just didn't really work for me, and that's okay. This was written for teenage girls, so I'm not supposed to be the one that's invested in that. I get that. I understand that, okay? Man, I just wish that the things that I found interesting had been like the focus of the book. Like there's like these grisly murders going on, and I was like, that's cool. Let's look more into that. But the main character, I shit you not, she literally was just like, not my problem. Whatever. I got bigger fish to fry. Bigger fish? There's murders happening. What do you mean? What bigger fish to fry do you have? What? Also, this whole book is built around this like aspect of like a tournament. There's these champions competing in tests that are basically deciding who's going to end up being the victor. Again, not going to say more than that for the sake of spoilers, but those tests I really wanted them to be like super interesting. Like that was a really cool premise. That's like how the book starts, is like introducing this competition. And I was like, okay, I'm on board for this. But the competition, it wasn't really even like part of the book that much. Like they kind of happened sometimes, but they were all pretty lame for the most part. It's like, I thought, okay, they're going to be doing all sorts of cool stuff in this competition. But it was like, today we're doing archery. And today we're going on a run. Okay, fine, I guess. Like, technically, yeah, those are tests, but like, I was hoping they were going to be more interesting. I was hoping they were going to have some flavor to them. Instead, they were just like the presidential fitness test, and not some fantasy test to decide, you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't know what I'm talking about this for anyway. It doesn't matter, okay? This was written by a teenager. Point in case, I did enjoy parts of the book. I didn't enjoy a lot of the book, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I've also been told that I need to get past book 3 and that there's like a tonal shift in the series, and I'm okay with reading to that point because I have read a lot of series that start off slow and then they pick up, and I start to like them the further and further I go on, and I am not going to not make an exception here. Like I absolutely am going to continue this series and get to that point. So I will continue Throne of Glass. I don't know when, though, because I have so many goddamn things that I am reading right now, and since I wasn't super hot on that first book, it might take me a little bit of time to get back into that series, which is okay. I'm going to, though. I'm going to do it. But I decided to spice things up this week a little bit, and I've been sick, so I've been sitting inside a lot, and it was kind of hard for me to focus on words, so I started listening to an audiobook. I started listening to Fairy Tale by Stephen King while I played Minecraft, and it was excellent. It was an excellent experience. I'm like 25% the way through the book, and I am loving the book, for one, and two, I'm loving the experience of listening to an audiobook, which I've never really had happen to me before. Everyone's always told me that I just need to like find an activity that will keep my mind stimulated so that I can also focus on the audiobook at the same time. But every single thing that I have tried, my brain has wandered every single time. It doesn't matter what it is. But Minecraft just hits the sweet spot for me. And I feel like if you are trying to get into audiobooks and you're like me, I'm not an audiobook aficionado at this point. I'm enjoying one. I'm enjoying the first time this is the first time that I'm enjoying it. So don't listen to me. Maybe I might have some advice, but don't take my word as the end all be all. But like, keep trying. Maybe you just haven't found your activity yet. Anyways, it's been a very pleasant experience, and I am loving Fairy Tale so far. It is such a sweet story, at least at the beginning, although it is getting kind of sad right now, which is fine. I'm going to read another Stephen King book this month, though, because I did start a book club. If you haven't seen my posts about it, I did start a book club. You can join it in the link in the description of this video, and we're reading Pet Sematary this month. So I'm reading 2 Stephen King books this month. I'm going to finish Fairy Tale first, I think, and then I'm starting Pet Sematary. So the book club is officially started. You can read ahead of me, but I will be behind. I'm going to get there, and I think I set the deadline as October 31st to finish that book. So if you want to join, now is the time, because you have like a few weeks at this point still to continue reading it. So I've already completely destroyed my October TBR, and that's okay. So I'm reading 2 Stephen King books this month, and I also I did a thing. And I this morning, I started the new secret project from Brandon Sanderson. It's called The Sunlit Man. That's not a spoiler anymore. He's been posting about it. The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. And it's so good so far. I read like 80 pages this morning just on a whim. I literally opened it on my phone on the Kindle app, and I was like, I'll read the first chapter. And then I couldn't stop until about page 80. It's so good so far. All of these secret projects, dude, I mean, apart from the second one, they're all so good so far. And like, this one, I can already feel like I'm just going to love it. I already know, like I sunk into the world. I sunk into Brandon's writing just right away. And it's so action-packed right at the beginning. It's like the opposite of Yumi and of Tress, where they take a little bit to ramp up. This one just starts off with a bang. Like immediately shit is going down. And there's really not a stopping point until, like I said, like page 80. I will say, though, if you're going to read this one, you need to have read the Stormlight Archive. Like, this is the only one, I would say, out of all of them that you actually need to have read one of the series that Brandon has written before. Like Tress and Yumi, you can read on their own, and you would be missing like references, but like the stories themselves would make sense. And technically, yeah, that's true for this one, but like the main character and like his situation and a lot of the things that he talks about would not make sense unless you had read the Stormlight Archive first. So I will recommend, if you're going to read this one, read the Stormlight Archive first. Anyways, I'm probably going to plow through that book. It's like 430 pages. I'm already 80 pages in. I'll probably finish it in the next few days. And then I am starting A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. I think I'm doing that. Unless I'm like really far behind on Fairy Tale at that point, then I would need to start Pet Sematary first. And maybe I'll just read that congruently with A Little Hatred, but I am going to try and read both of those books by the end of the month on top of The Sunlit Man and Fairy Tale. Oh, dear God. What have I done? That's way too many books to be reading in 1 month. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. We'll be fine, right? Right? On top of all of that, I made a massive list of standalone books that I want to read soon because, like I've been saying for so long, I want to be reading more standalones. I keep starting series and I get like super overwhelmed with the amount of books that like I have to read because I just started Throne of Glass and there's 7 books in that series. So I just piled on 6 more books that I need to read in one series. And like, I'm trying to abstain from doing that. So I have a few series I still need to wrap up. I want to finish all of The First Law. I want to finish Cradle. But I'm going to start breaking up book series with standalones. And I made this giant list. And I'm actually going to post a video about all the standalone books that I'm excited to read in next week. I'm actually going to post a TikTok about it today. So you'll probably see that first if you follow me on there. And I'm really proud of myself. I feel really good about that because now I have a list I can fall back on and I can actually use and I plan on using so that I'm no longer just picking up these meaty, huge series that are overwhelming my life and I can get to more and more voices, more and more people and just like read stories that are already finished because I didn't realize that was something I cared about until now and I usually don't. Like, I'm okay with picking up a series that's not done. I'm still okay with that. But I'm realizing that I need more things that are done. Anyways, that's it for all my reading news. I also started watching Castlevania Nocturne. If you liked the original Castlevania series, definitely watch this one. It's not as good, in my opinion. It's just not hitting the sweet spot like the original Castlevania on Netflix, but it is still pretty good, and there's some pretty good moments. I'm not done with it yet. I have 1 or 2 more episodes to go, but the animation, I mean, it's people fighting vampires with whips and magic and swords. It's if you like fantasy stuff, it's for you, yeah? Can't really say much more than that about Castlevania Nocturne. There's really not a whole lot of depth to this one. I felt like the original Castlevania not only had good fights, I was actually pretty invested in a lot of the characters, and I don't know, I don't really care that much about the characters in this one, which is sad to say, and like usually that would ruin my enjoyment, but I'm really into Castlevania for the fights, and the fights are still good, so I'm all right with that. And also unrelated to books, I went and saw a movie called The Creator last week, which is this giant epic sci-fi movie that I didn't even know was coming out, but it was showing at a theater near me, so I went and saw it, and it was pretty good. It wasn't amazing. It definitely emotionally affected me way more than I thought it was going to. It starts off a bit slow, but man, the ending is really good. It's a really good ending. I was alone in the theater, or there was one other guy in the theater. I was alone in the theater with one other guy, is what I meant to say. I'm sitting there. I started crying at the end, and the guy like 3 rows down from me was sobbing. He was sobbing his eyes out. He cried so much, and it was actually really funny because as I'm leaving, we're like the only 2 people in the entire building, and there's elevators to go down because we're like on the 3rd floor of a building. So I went to the bathroom. I came back out because he was still crying when I left. And he's sitting at the elevator. So it's kind of awkward because we're both leaving this movie, both clearly having just cried. Him a lot more than me. We get in the elevator. It's really awkward silence. We're just standing there. And then eventually he turns and looks at me and he says, "Did you like the movie?" I was like, Yeah, it was very sad. He said, "It was so sad." And then he's like, wasn't actually crying, but he was like fake exaggerating crying. It was a really sweet moment. It was fun. But anyways, I think that's it for this week. I don't have anything else to update you guys on. So until next week, I hope you're happy and healthy. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you then. Also expect another video from me soon because I am posting that to be read standalone books video probably in the next few days. So expect that soon. But until then, goodbye. See ya. Ciao. That's gonna be the new goodbye. I'm gonna say all 3 of them. Maybe even adios. I might throw adios in there. Adios.
Bye.